Namaste. Thank you, Dr. Shivrasad Reddy garu. Today's topic the river rights. It may sound more philosophical and more, sentimental and emotional that we are talking on the rights of the rivers. It may sound very funny to my bureaucrats, the water companies, the policymakers. But today, when my friend started with sharing of water, this very perspective, drifted us from the river systems. The entire human civilization, you know, it took birth on the river valleys. And my recent visit to Indus and its valley system, inspired me, motivated me, educated me on how the valleys supported the entire human civilization. And from, a very rudimentary stage, how we grew both economically, technologically, financially, and at the same time, as we are growing, unknowingly we have disconnected our umbilical cord to the river systems. The cities which flourished on the river banks, today all the rivers which have the so-called flourishing economy have died. Yamuna with toxic foam, Delhi. Ganges again at Kanpur, Varanasi, you name it. 3 billion was allotted by the government of India to rejuvenate Ganges. We do not have any progress card on that. My own city, Hyderabad, and the only river which takes birth and joins Krishna is almost dead. Today, when I am discussing this with some of my senior most media persons, they said, "Sir, we are sorry to say it is no more a river." Who made this? You see, our perspective has changed. So, this river, interestingly, is a lifeline. The blood that flows in our arteries and veins that flow in the streams and rivers of this country, on this earth. We have forgotten everything. We have immuned ourselves. So 2023 is the year where the rights of the rivers have been recognized. You see, my presentation has all the details, which I do not want to read and make that monotonous. Certainly, I will share that PPT with you people. Today, across the world, the rivers are dead. Economy is pushing. Can you see this? Okay, I'm making this a big one. Okay. Okay. Now, can you see in full form? This is rights of rivers. In fact, river is a representative of our entire natural systems. So I took liberty in saying that the river system represents the entire natural resources which are voiceless. Somebody has to represent them in the court. And rights of rivers, rights of natural resources versus our duties. What exactly mean by rights of rivers? Rivers have been identified today, you know, rivers are sewage carrying drains. We proudly say. Because my apartment is costing 3.5 crores, it has all the right to discharge untreated sewage into the river system. Rapid urbanization, economic development have negatively impacted this natural ecosystem. Dams constructed on rivers often alter their natural flow and disrupt the natural sediment distribution patterns. Nobody is bothered about looking to all these things. So, how do we look into it? Where are the catchments of our river systems? And rivers are the planet's arteries, as I said, what we have, what is the rights of rivers movement? Felix Fader explains what earth jurisprudence, this is a typical legal terminology and nomenclature, means for the recovery of the world's freshwater ecosystems. Really, these rights of the rivers have been today identified highly polluted, toxic, and threatening the all life forms, including the human beings. Entire ecosystems is at a threat. Then, don't they have a right to survive? Don't they have a right to restore back as a life form? Do we recognize them as a life form? పొద్దున్న లేస్తే మనం గంగోత్రి యమునోత్రి అనుకుంటే ఏందేందో మంత్రాలు చదువుతాం అవును and we say pushkaram lakhs of people will go and take a dip, all that tamasha rituals around the water, but who is interested in making the river systems, recognizing them as life forms? Now, something happened during the 2017 in New Zealand after years of negotiations with representatives of the Wanganui tribe. The Aotearoa New Zealand Parliament enacted the Awatupua Act 2017. This legally recognized the Awatupua, the Wanguni River and all its physical, metaphysical elements as an indivisible and living whole. The act acknowledges the river as a source of physical, spiritual sustenance, and that the communities living along the river have an inalienable connection with and responsibility to the Awatupua and its health, the well-being. So this is a remarkable, thing. The legal recognition of the Awatupua is unique manifestation of the Wangoni away relationship with river rather than falling within any particular legal classification. It's a very important thing, how you take the legal instrument to give the due rights to any system. Today we are discussing on the natural systems, which we think, it's a rubbish, it's a raw material. That being said, the story of this river provides a strong example of how to transform the law so that it harmonizes with natural world. It's a wonderful thing. It should be an eye opening to a law student, to the Chief Justice of Supreme Court. That being said, the story of this river provides a strong example of how to transform the law so that it harmonizes with the natural world. This is the real challenge. Rights of rivers versus our duties. We are great people. Indians are the foremost Hippocrates on the earth. And today I joined them, and I am always being an Indian. We always quote Article 51 AG Constitution of India stipulates that every citizen has a duty to protect, to improve natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife. If I make any complaint against the lake pollution, a lake encroachment, a river encroachment, I am being prosecuted. I am being harassed. But my constitution says it is my fundamental duty. And the system is not allowing me to exercise my fundamental duty towards the natural systems. It could be a wonderful thing what happened in 2017 at New Zealand, but it happened 70 years back in my country under the Constitution. The National Water Policy 2012 mentions that the need for conservation of rivers, prohibiting encroachment, diversion of rivers, it recognizes the environmental needs of the floodplain. This is a highly a limited statement. It limits the scope, the entire thing, which needs to be reviewed and discussed. So I think myself and Professor Purushotham Reddy were fortunate in 1992. After release of the book, we conducted a workshop, national workshop on rights and responsibilities, environmental rights and responsibilities in Jubilee Hall. So this recalls us that moment. Worldwide, there has been a wave of initiatives to grant rivers right as a way of protecting them. You see, giving a right, recognizing a right is to protect them. So how do we take this? The Earth Center is working towards passing Africa's first law establishing rights of rivers. The river rights perspective was developed in advanced liberal democracies with large aboriginal populations such as Australia and New Zealand. Giving rivers rights would enable them to perform legal acts. We will be strengthening the legal instruments, exert influence on the policy. They could even act as a party to proceedings to promote, protect their rights, because rivers are voiceless. River rights would include the rights of river basins across the national boundaries. It's very important. Recently, I could see the transboundary rivers which origin in India and pass through Pakistan. This is because water quality is affected upstream economic activities and land use. This holds true for all the rivers. Today, Godavari River, more than six states, rivers are important resources. Okay, all that, blah, blah. Many countries have taken steps to consider river as a living entity. Today, my emphasis is the world started realizing that river is a living entity. And it's time for us, all the like-minded people, to make our governance to realize this fact. It's not beautification and all that blah blahs. A measure that has helped in conservation, rejuvenation of rivers. River has been adopted as a legal person in Ecuador in 2008, Bolivia in 2011, New Zealand 2017, Bangladesh 2018. The Punjab and Haryana High Court passed an order in 2020 stating that Sukna Lake in Chandigarh city is a living entity. Can we make our Hussain Sagar a living entity? Can we make our Aminpur Lake as a living entity which has been awarded with biodiversity? Is a rights equivalent to persons? My question is the legal system sleeping in this country? I have not come across a single case in the either in the High Court or in the Supreme Court or in the district courts that based on these you know outcomes someone has filed a case. In 2017, the Uttarakhand High Court declared Ganga and Yamuna and their tributaries as legal entities. Are we treating that? If so, why there is so much calamity in Himalayan regions? Across the world, there is a concept of minimum rights of river. The Universal Declaration of River Rights, as developed by Earth Law Center, or right to flow, performing essential functions. Does anybody know the functions of the rivers, forms of the rivers? How the river system, right from its నది అన్నది ఏదో అలా పొర్లుకుంటూ రాదు. భూమాత గర్భంలోంచి చీల్చుకొని బయటకు వస్తుంది. ఏ నది అయినా సరే ఒక స్ప్రింగ్ రూపంలో. అది I have seen Jhilam, I have seen Godavari, Nasik, Bhimeshwar, and our Musi. Okay? Innumerable springs around. Right to be free from pollution. It comes out from the Mother Earth and feeds several aquifers. Rivers to facilitate biodiversity management. It is the climate and geodiversity facilitates the growth of biodiversity, and all three combinations will give to socio-cultural diversity in the world. So we have stopped teaching them these things. Okay. So this is the thing, the rivers have been recognized, and, countries like Ecuador and New Zealand and Bangladesh, even in India, that, we started recognizing the lakes as well as the, river systems as living entities. But there is a long way to go in practicing it. How do we take care of it? Do we have any standardized health card of these systems, natural systems? Do we have any biodiversity registers of the river catchment systems, river origin systems? No. But everybody finds a state biodiversity board with the head of the board taking something like 2 lakhs per salary per month, doing nothing. In Telangana itself, we hardly produced around 40 I think, biodiversity registers. And we have earmarked the revenue boundaries for 42 lakes in and around Hyderabad. Is it not shame? Are we not abusing the public resources to feed these people who are doing nothing but swallowing the public funds? The Universal Declaration, I do not want to go para-wise and, but the viewers, and I request my friend to circulate it. Rivers are essential to all life forms. Rivers also play a vital role in functioning Earth's hydrological cycle. Today, the Earth's hydrological cycle is disturbed. The climate change has a direct impact on the hydrological cycle. That's the reason the rainfall pattern has changed, and the water regime, groundwater, surface water, there is a lot of discrepancies and lot of anomalies, absolute dependence on of people on rivers. Whether we sit in Hyderabad in 100th floor of Lanco Hills, you have to get the Godavari river water on. Mind, my friend, it's not that somebody is manufacturing water for you and supplying it to the exclusive coca-pate habitats. It is the river systems you are all dependent on. Humans have caused the significant pollution of the rivers. Then it's the duty of responsibility of the humans to reverse it back. Excessive waterway diversions, groundwater withdrawals have significantly reduced the base flows. Nobody looks into it. Humans have caused wide scale physical changes to rivers. Yes, we ourselves witnessed the Musi River. National and international laws pertaining to waterways are vastly inadequate. Rivers, in particular, are sacred entities possessing their own fundamental rights. Aware that all people, including indigenous communities and other local communities of all spiritual faiths, have long held through their traditions, religions, customs, and laws that nature is a rights bearing entity and that rivers in particular are sacred entities possessing their own fundamental rights. Are we protecting the fundamental rights of the natural systems? Do we understand the value of the natural systems? No. Today we declare a biodiversity. Tomorrow, uh, we forget about it. Degradation and exploitation of rivers is not only an environmental issue. You see, that is the problem in this country. People only look environment as planting tree or else, or cutting a tree. But they never think that river systems with environment and human survival has a triangular relationship, guided by the growing number of governments worldwide that seek to reverse ongoing trend of global environmental degradation. How do we take it? Okay, including Uganda, numerous state constitutional amendments in Mexico, dozens of rights of nature ordinances in the United States and in Brazil. Where are we? Where do we India stand for? Nothing. At domestic level, we don't do anything. We have become good showmasters. Further guided by the growing legal recognition of the inherent rights of rivers. Convinced that recognizing the rights of nature, particularly recognizing those rivers' rights contained in this declaration, will foster the creation of new legal and, and social paradigm based on living in harmony with nature. This is the most important statement. This is the statement to take back home. Foster the creation of new legal and social paradigm based on living in harmony with nature. All the state governments have to open up their eyes. All our master plans have to reoriented. All our master plans have to be reviewed, and we have to come out with a new master plan where the human settlement lives with the nature. So there are some 9 points where they have fundamental rights set forth in the declaration standing. Perform essential functions. Further establishes the health of watersheds and river basins. We do not understand. Even the concretized urban areas have their watersheds in a different form. We need to look into it. Maintains that in order to ensure full implementation enforcement of these rights on behalf of the river's rights, who may represent the river in any legal proceedings. Okay. Determine their best interest and integrated assessment. watershed health, fundamental river rights. As such, the government shall consider the decommission of all dams. This is a very interesting and a challenging statement in the declaration. How the people have to. Uh, the photograph on the right side is the Fang River uh, at Leh area, actually. So that is all about the declaration and what the preamble and declaration part. History was made in March this year when High Court of Uttarakhand said living entity Ganges and Yamuna with all corresponding rights, duties, liabilities of a living person. Okay, I request my entire legal domain to look into it. River basin organizations should be established, take decisions on. This is what, when we wrote in the status report in 1990, Anna and myself and some other people, who emphasized on establishing the river basin organization. Even to this date, government did not establish a river basin organization. A state like Maharashtra, they took some, we are good in making khichadis and pav bhajis. We take some points from here and say, we have done this a great thing. The draft national framework bill, master plan, river basin, master plans. Are we doing it? This is an interesting. The draft national framework bill, May 2016, talks about integrated river basin development and management and mandates every state government to develop, manage, regulate basins of rivers through river basin master plan. Did we initiate, at least did we discuss on these things? This bill, unfortunately, is yet to become a legislation. మన దగ్గర లెజిస్లేషన్ కానీ చాలా ఉంటాయిలే ఫాల్తూ బిల్స్, అవన్నీ మనం చాలా జల్దీ జల్దీ చేసుకుంటాం కానీ ఈవెన్ దిస్ నోబడి ఆస్క్ ఫర్ ఇట్ because even the honorable members sitting in the opposition party have little knowledge on these things. This bill, unfortunately, is yet to become a legislation. The National Mission of Clean Ganga has proposed urban river management plan, adopted the River City Alliance, selecting few cities to plan sustainable management of urban rivers, which is louder. What is urban rivers? Urban is a part of a river. So it is the river planning and development system that should take care of the and regulate the urban growth. This sentence I totally reject. And I request my friend Dr. Shiv Prasad and Anna, Professor Purushotham Reddy to throw light on this. Unfortunately, the river water framework does not cover all dimensions of river management. That means new projects, engineering, maybe. For instance, it is silent on river reservation zone policy to protect natural ecosystems along side river and its tributaries. Okay. The rights of rivers offer us an, before we conclude, the rights of rivers offer us an opportunity to do just this, to change how we view, interact with the rest of the nature. Our perceptions and perspectives towards the nature, towards the development, redefining the development is the need of the hour. An opportunity to acknowledge that we are as much part of nature as any other species, and that this comes along with set of responsibilities. This is a tool which can be implemented to re-establish compassionate, resilient, respectable relation with all of nature, in which we recognize our responsibilities and the consequences of our actions, a tool that can enable us to meet our global ambitions for healthier, more equitable, inclusively prosperous world. Here, I would like to mention the recent statement by the Prime Minister in the Parliament. You see, he was emphasizing on quality of life. Without this framework, without this commitment, dear Prime Minister, we cannot achieve the quality of life in this country. Please make your cabinet ministers, please make everyone in the governance system to follow this, and also ensure implementation this from parliament to local governing bodies in all the three tier governance system in this country. So civil society initiatives are always there. So how do we take this? My humble request is go to the Google, sign the Universal Declaration of the Rights of Rivers, www.rightsofrivers.org. Please do it. Let us work towards the rights of the rivers to protect them and make them rivers as our lifeline partners. If it is not now, now or never, it's time for us to. Okay, thanks, Anna. Thank you so much. Hope I have taken much time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. TSPR. At the outset, I was just wondering the excellent presentation by my friend B.V. Subba Rao Garu, because being an academic, I love good presentations, particularly when somebody does it with all full of knowledge and supported by practical work. Recently, our friend has visited Himalayas and has traveled long distances to go to the places where the rivers originate. And he was there for nearly a week. But you add this knowledge to the previously accumulated knowledge, his studies in Pune, Hyderabad, and several other countries. How the rivers originate. And one wonderful sentence which he used today, that the river comes out from the womb of the Mother Earth, and then it begins to flow. Actually, river is an ecosystem, and I was trying to connect to the different ecosystems as mentioned in the subject of environment, because this subject in modern times is about 60 years old. I'm not saying that this is the period of the growth of the entire subject. From 1960 to presently, say about 62, 63 years. What happened during this particular period is that suddenly humanity became conscious of the fact that we have been destroying every ecosystem, including the rivers. And that is why there has been a hue and cry. And this has been reflected in the very many publications right from 1960 onwards. To begin with, Rachel Carson's The Silent Spring,
Spring.
then Limits to Growth, then Year 2000 report, and in between Our Common Future, and books like The Future We Want. Even as this growth of literature in the subject of environment was going on. Parallel to this, we were witnessing global conferences: Stockholm, Rio, Johannesburg, then Paris. Even another, vertical was simultaneously lot of disasters were uh, uh, manifesting, and these disasters reflect the neglect of environment by the corporate controlled governments in almost all the countries. Now, these corporates are just there only to loot the public commons. And today, what we witness is a tragedy of the commons. Well, there is a book by the same name, Tragedy of the Commons. But then I really mean it. Every common property resource has been tampered, it has been exploited. In fact, we can call it as the rape of every particular ecosystem, whether it is the forest or the coastline or the oceans. But since today it is Rivers International Rivers Day, so let us focus on this particular topic. Now, when we look at these rivers, particularly from the Indian government of India and the people of India point of view, I agree with my dear friend that every river in this country is encroached upon, and then there is a removal of sand from the riverbed, and encroachments by not by the poor, because when a poor person encroaches, he can easily be driven away. But when the powerful and the mighty, the MLAs and the MPs, we have seen in the Doon Valley how a former environment minister was there as a major encroacher. Anyway, every river in this country is polluted and encroached upon, and this whatever we are witnessing as floods during the monsoons is nothing but these floods are because of the constrictions in the flow of the river. That is, when there are encroachments, the flow of the river becomes difficult. And of course, there are so many other reasons like urbanization, concretization, and as my friend very often points out, that as and how concretization takes place, the flooding, the flow, the rate of flooding increases multifold. Fold. So these are very critical issues. But my concern right now is that the North India, particularly the Gangetic, it has been reported umpteen number of times that the groundwater levels are depleting in Punjab, Haryana, and the whole of Western UP now. There are lakhs of tube wells, and our people have started pumping out, thinking that there is infinite water. But then the tube wells are going dry. But simultaneously, we notice that the Himalayan ice, the extent of ice over the Himalayas is coming down. And Himalayas right now, the very fragile ecosystem. Recently, our friend visited. Not only it is the what we call the meeting point of the two tectonic plates. On one side, the danger of the earthquakes. On the other side, the damage because of unprecedented human interference, negligence, out of ignorance, and based on the greed of the corporates plus the political elites and the bureaucratic, corruption. All these together, they are making it the life of the common man extremely difficult for survival there. United Nations, several reports have already cautioned what we witnessed recently in Pakistan is extreme weather event. And 2 years ago, about one third of the country was flooded, and Pakistan with very less education, not so much of competence, and zero focus on environment, they are going to pay a very heavy price. But India is no less ignorant, even though we have education and all that. But our political elites and the bureaucrats being virtually illiterates when it comes to their understanding or commitment to the protection of environment. As a result, almost every policy under the government of India is going wrong, and we are collectively, we the people are making it extremely difficult for life to continue in this country as well. That is, not only Pakistan, but India also is going to pay a very heavy price. And the same thing is going to happen in Bangladesh. But for Bangladesh, there is yet another problem, and that is the rise of the sea level because of global warming, climate change, and so many other factors. And Bangladesh is basically a deltaic region. So, definitely, a major part of Bangladesh is going to be underwater. And India is going to have a very serious problem of refugee influx, the environmental refugees from Bangladesh. On the whole, when we look at India, particularly in the context of India, almost every river in this country is threatened, endangered, and now this time, this year, lot of environmentalists are concerned and worried, and I hope they are wrong because they have said that the river Krishna may not flow into Bay of Bengal because right now even Srisailam Dam is not full, and we are already September 23rd or 24th. So hardly another 1 month maximum or 3 weeks. Srisailam Dam has to be full, then the water is allowed into Nagarjuna Sagar. So this year Nagarjuna Sagar may not be full. That means the flow of the river may not reach Bay of Bengal. I hope I wish I am proved wrong. I'll be happy if the river Krishna flows into Bay of Bengal. But then what is it we have disturbed everything and we are making it extremely difficult for the normal monsoons to precipitate over the eastern Ghats. As it is on the eastern side of the western Ghats, that is the rain shadow area. Rainfall will be less, but sometimes because of the monsoons uh, being active, we may get rainfall on the eastern side of the western Ghats, which means the water will flow into river Tungabhadra, Krishna, uh, Bhima, and so on. So right now, this is the very difficult situation: urbanization, deforestation, and pollution, removal of sand. All of us, it appears as if we, the people, have declared a war on the rivers, and we are making it extremely difficult. So I totally agree that every river, the rights of the river have got to be respected, recognized, but simply recognizing it doesn't really help. The government, the judiciary having recognized, because in some of the states of India, they have already recognized Uttarakhand, and as my friend pointed out. Now, it is not sufficient to recognize, but they also need to act. That is, they should become the watchdogs of and try to protect the rights of the rivers because they are directly connected with the livelihood of the people. By protecting the rivers, we'll be protecting not just the livelihood, but the entire ecosystem and all life forms, not just human beings. Every species that is dependent on the river, the birds, and so many, the fishes, everything is so wonderfully connected. And they have a right to, survival. So I appreciate the judiciary having recognized the rights of the river, but simply recognizing will not help. The judiciary has to enter into a mode known as the activist mode. We witnessed this particular phenomena by the Supreme Court during, Justice Krishna Iyer time, Justice Bhagwati, Justice Kuldeep Singh, Justice Venkatacharya, and so on. And thanks to the efforts of people like MC Mehta and so many other environmental activists of this country, several landmark judgments have been given. But the tragedy of India is that these judgments are not converted into justice. Somewhere the flow of the justice is clogged, and it is not reaching out to the people nor to the ecosystems. Therefore, I think India, we the people of India, we need to have a new constitution, a new constituent assembly, because right now there is a big flaw. All those international agreements which have been entered into, right from Stockholm to Rio to Paris, including all the conferences of parties on climate change, on biodiversity, and the very many agreements entered between the nations, multilateral, bilateral, and global agreements. All the gist of all this have got to be incorporated in the constitution. Otherwise, there is no mechanism. Right now, if a student of law wants to understand the constitution, we only view it as, we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign democratic republic, and in between secular and socialist were added. But we are demanding right now, environmentalists in this country are demanding that we also add sustainable development, because India's what is the goal of India? What the not just India, the goal of a human civilization right now is that we have no choice, but we need to organize sustainability of development, and we have to reduce our carbon footprint. All these things have to be entered or updated into the constitution. And again, having updated, the judiciary has to be true to the constitution and try to protect the rights of the people. And this can happen only when every ecosystem is taken care of. Unless the river's rights are protected, our right to sustainable living cannot be achieved. Once again, I thank my friend Subba Rao Garu for the excellent work. Actually, that is good enough for a PhD topic, and he should be conferred immediately a PhD, because for him this is nothing, but we have to acknowledge somewhere. It's a monumental work, original work. So as a lover of knowledge, I respect his contribution, and it's a great thing. I hope the people of India will respond positively. No, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much. So one point I would like to
Yeah,
contribute actually. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Sarkar from TERI and Sri Arvind Kumar, President, Chair, and Founder of the Indian Water Foundation. Both of them contributed towards
great,
promoting the river rights in this country,
great,
and
great.
many more unsung heroes also. So I thank all those people who are working relentlessly for the rights of the rivers in this country
Yeah,
and in
I
this world.
also join you in thanking them.
Thanks.
We
Thank
thank you. Great.
Um, uh, that is, river going to Aral Sea. Long back I showed Aral Sea. It became dry. So as Anna pointed out, it may become a part of Bay of Bengal, which Krishna is feeding, may become dry. I thought we will come out with a second episode on do Musi have to die for Hyderabad in
Right.
continuation of the
Good, good,
river systems.
good.
Okay, and the third one is I'm just thinking of impact of climate change on the river systems and river biodiversity.
Good.
And so that we can also review existing policies and what should be what we can propose towards the policy orientation. Thank you so much. Nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.